In part 1, we examined photographs and videos that blurred the line between myth and reality. Images that refuse to disappear, even after years of analysis. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, it's important to start there. Because what you're about to see is part 2, and the cases become even harder to explain. Every example in this video is based on real photos or real footage, not illustrations, not artistic recreations. Some have been debated for decades. Others still raise questions today. Let's take a closer look. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments. 1. The photo that gave a lake a monster. Champ. In 1977, a woman named Sandra Mancy was visiting Lake Champlain, a vast body of water that borders New York, Vermont, and Canada. She wasn't searching for anything unusual and had no reason to expect what she was about to see. From the shoreline, Mancy noticed something rise slowly from the water, roughly 150 feet away. The movement caught her attention because it didn't resemble a wave, a bird, or floating debris. She managed to take a single photograph before the object disappeared beneath the surface. The image shows a dark form with a long, curved neck and a distinct hump behind it. The shape appears elevated above the water rather than floating flat, giving it a solid, structured appearance. The photo spread quickly and became the most famous image associated with the lake. Champlain monster, commonly known as Champ. For many people, it transformed a local legend into something that appeared tangible. Skeptics argued the object was driftwood or a submerged log distorted by perspective. Supporters pointed out that the object appears three-dimensional and casts a shadow, which is difficult to explain with debris alone. The photograph has been studied and debated for decades, yet no explanation has ever been universally accepted. One image was enough to keep the legend alive. So what do you think you're looking at? 2. The photo that stopped a boat. Hook Island Sea. Monster. In 1964, Robert Lesurec was boating near Hook Island, off the coast of Australia, when he noticed something large and dark resting motionless in the shallow water near the shore. At first, he assumed it was debris or a submerged object, but as the boat drifted closer, the shape became harder to explain. Lesurec photographed what appeared to be a massive, tadpole-shaped creature lying on the seafloor. The object had a rounded head, a long tapering body, and no visible fins or tail flukes. It appeared solid and three-dimensional, partially embedded in the sand beneath the water. The photograph was taken at close range and later published internationally, including in Paris Match, which brought the image to a wider audience. Almost immediately, debate followed. Some researchers believe the image showed an unknown marine animal, possibly something rarely seen in shallow coastal waters. Others claimed it was an elaborate hoax, suggesting the object could have been staged using fabric, plastic, or other materials placed underwater. However, critics of the hoax explanation pointed to details in the image, including natural water displacement, subtle shadowing, and the apparent weight of the object, which do not clearly match lightweight materials. The photograph has been analyzed repeatedly, but it has never been conclusively debunked. It remains a single image and a single unanswered question. 3. The photograph that divided science. Loys. Ape. In 1920, Swiss geologist François Loys was exploring a remote jungle region near the border of Venezuela and Colombia when he photographed something unusual. The image shows a large, upright, ape-like creature sitting on a wooden crate, its arms appear long, its posture is erect, and most notably, no visible tail can be seen. An unusual detail for primates native to South America. Loys claimed the animal was encountered near a riverbank and shot during the expedition. He photographed the body for documentation before the remains were later lost. Years afterward, the photograph was published and debated by zoologists and anthropologists. Some even suggested it represented an unknown primate species. Skeptics argue the image shows a spider monkey, posed to appear larger, with the tail hidden or removed. Supporters counter that spider monkeys normally have long, visible tails, and that the limb proportions in the photo don't clearly match known species. The photograph itself is real and archived, but its interpretation remains contested. Was it simply a misidentified animal, or something science didn't recognize at the time? 4. The carcass on the shore, the Trunko sea monster. In 1924, residents along the coast of Margate, South Africa, reported seeing something enormous washed up on the shoreline. The creature was described as white, elongated, and covered in coarse hair, with what appeared to be a trunk-like appendage. Witnesses said it fought with whales offshore before, eventually collapsing onto the beach. Photographs of the carcass were taken by Margaret Scholes, a local resident. The images show a large, pale mass lying partially submerged at the water's edge, clearly organic in appearance. The photos were published in newspapers and later archived in cryptozoological records, making this one of the earliest sea monster cases supported by real photographic evidence. Scientists later suggested the remains could be decomposing whale tissue, possibly blubber, or connective tissue that had separated from a carcass. However, critics of that explanation argue that the shape, texture, and reported behavior don't fully align with known whale decomposition patterns. No physical samples were preserved, and the carcass eventually disappeared with the tides. The photographs remain, and nearly a century later, no explanation has been universally accepted. What do you think washed ashore? 5. The photos taken near a river. The Loveland. Frogman. In 1972, a police officer in Loveland, Ohio, reported seeing a strange humanoid creature near the Great Miami River. According to the officer, the figure appeared frog-like, stood upright on two legs, and was visible only briefly before disappearing into the darkness. For years, the report remained an isolated incident. Then, decades later, photographs surfaced claiming to show a similar figure near the same river area. The images are grainy and taken from a distance, but the posture appears upright and balanced, not crouched or crawling like a typical animal. The figure's stance suggests deliberate movement rather than panic or confusion. Skeptics argue the photos show a person wearing a costume or staged as a hoax. Others point out that the proportions and stance don't clearly match known animals or common prank costumes, especially given the low light and environment. The photographs have never been officially confirmed, but they've also never been fully debunked. They remain part of the mystery, a small set of images tied to a report that never fully went away. 10. The footage that keeps returning. Orang Pendek. Orang Pendek is a small, upright creature that has been reported for decades in the jungles of Sumatra, Indonesia. Photos and videos taken by hikers, researchers, and local guides show a short, muscular figure moving through dense forests. The footage is usually brief, often captured at a distance, but the figure consistently appears upright and balanced as it moves through. Difficult terrain. What sets these images apart is how natural the proportions look. The arms, legs, and torso move together smoothly, and the gait appears controlled and purposeful rather than exaggerated or awkward, which is often seen in stage footage. Skeptics suggest the images show mice-identified animals, such as primates or people. Moving through the jungle, supporters counter that the posture, speed, and movement pattern don't clearly match any known species in the region. Despite years of analysis, no explanation has been universally accepted. Because of the repeated sightings and the consistency of the footage, orang pendek remains one of the most difficult cryptid cases to fully dismiss. 7. The images taken at sea. Norwegian sea serpent. In the early 1900s, maritime photographs taken off the coast of Norway captured a long, dark shape moving just beneath the surface near passing ships. The images were taken by crew members aboard fishing and commercial vessels and later shared among sailors. The photographers were never formally identified, which was common for shipboard photography at the time. What appears in the photos is a smooth, elongated form moving in a continuous curve. Unlike whales or large fish, the shape shows no dorsal fin, tail fluke, or typical surfacing. Motion associated with known marine animals. What makes the images notable is how closely they match centuries-old sailor accounts, describing serpent-like creatures swimming alongside ships before disappearing underwater. Several explanations have been suggested, including floating debris or misidentified whales, but none fully account for the shape and movement seen in the photographs. No explanation has ever been universally accepted, and with much of the ocean still unexplored, the images remain open to interpretation. Most mythical creature photos are fake. Some are misunderstanding, some are exaggerations. But not all legends come from imagination. Sometimes they come from rare encounters long before science had answers. Which image convinced you the most? Which one felt the least convincing? Let me know in the comments. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments.